Welcome to Hickory Street Podcast. We're here with Diya Craft, another coworker of mine that's made it up on the podcast. We had Allie on.
You did? What?
Yeah, with the Wee Beasties.
Yeah, she was my roommate. We used to be roommates.
Was she really?
Yeah. She was my roommate before I lived over here.
That's so funny. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And we all work together.
Yeah, that's why I work. Well, that's why I work at Fastenal, because she got me the job there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
how long have you known her then?
I've known her for, I guess like 3 years now. I've known her just about as long as I've been doing music in town, just about, really. Because she dates Brett Crow and he's in Puddingtane.
Right.
You know that band?
Yeah, he was actually here for the podcast. So I met him
no. And anyway, I was really good friends with their drummer, so that's how I met all of them. Gotcha. That's wild. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I love that.
So you moved here and then you met them and then you ended up
So kind of a timeline.
Yeah. When did you move to Denton?
2016.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, I haven't been here for that long.
You moved here the same year I did. Actually.
Holy shit! What? Wait, I moved in August. Were you in August too?
Actually, yes.
For school?
For school, so...
For UNT? Yeah, same Z's.
That's so awesome.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah, dude, I moved here 2016, and I met my guitarist, Landon. We were both working at the Rockfish and Flower Mound, and so that's how I met him. And then we started the band in, May 2017 we started the band. And so and I started whenever I first moved here, I didn't know that there was a music scene until I think it was after that first semester. And then New Year's I went to a show at the Abbey that New Year's going into 2017, and that's how I found out about the music scene, because I never would have known there was one. And then had I not ever known there was one, I never would have started doing music, because I've only been doing music since I started the band.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is your first band ever.
Oh yeah.
Mother Falcon was your first. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cool. So you met your guitarist Landon working in Flower Mound?
Yeah.
And how long ago was that? Was that around the same time you moved here?
The same time I moved here, because I transferred, because I'm from Houston. I transferred from the Rockfish I was working at in Houston up to the one in Flower Mound, and he was working there. Oh. And so that's how we ended up meeting.
Nice.
Yeah,
Did you
it's crazy.
Move out here completely by yourself, or?
I had a roommate. At the time. And then I had a few roommates since then, but now I'm by myself, thank God, and it's so much nicer.
Yeah.
I really wish I would have just did that from the jump,
That's exactly what I did. I lived on my own for 3 years before I moved out here, so.
I feel that.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, cool. Talk about Mother Falcon then. So when exactly did you start the band?
So me and Landon started the band. It was I think around the time of my birthday in May 2017. It was just me and him, and I was because really what started the band was the Trump inauguration, watching him get inaugurated, because I have always been I've always paid a lot of attention to politics. My dad made me and my siblings watch the news every single day. If we didn't watch it at 6, we had to watch it at 10, and if you didn't watch it at 10, you get yelled at and bitched at. And because of that, I've always been very on top of what's going on, and just my dad also, he's an activist in Houston. He made music back in the day and all that, and so politics have always been a big thing of mine, and just really seeing that happen, the inauguration, to just go from the first black president, which that probably never would have ever happened, in another universe, and so just to go from that to that, it just really affected me, and I was just I have words to say, and so I actually started songwriting and stuff, and we started, it was May 2017, and then I was okay, well, we need a drummer, and so we our first drummer, I knew him from UNT, because he had the class next to mine. And we just knew each other from waiting in the hallway. He was our first drummer, so we had him, and it was really funny because in the very early days of the Falcon, we were practicing at his parents' house, and we were in his old Bible study room, and so we were covering like Rage Against the Machine and stuff, and we're like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And we had like Noah's Ark and shit on the walls. It was crazy.
That's
oh my
funny.
God, yeah.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, dude. We've just that happened. Yeah. But we've had like quite a few lineup changes. We're on our third drummer now. He's fabulous. Charlie Tucker from he's in a bunch of bands.
I know that name. I don't
he's
know.
in Jules Vermin and the Rodents.
That I've heard that band name.
And
I don't know.
He's in a bunch. He's also in the Unmarked Graves, which is like one of Richard Haskins' other groups that he does.
Oh yeah,
the Unmarked
he
Graves.
was talking about that.
He's a drummer. Yeah, he's in a bunch of shit. Cause you know how drummers are. Drummers are in like 12. They're in 12 bands.
For sure.
Yeah, and so we've got Charlie. Our current lineup is Charlie Tucker on the drums. Phil Thornton on the bass, who he is also brilliant. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Really?
He just he'll let's say, because Landon's always got something weird going on with his equipment. Like sometimes his guitar will start being weird or his amp will start being weird. Phil will just look at it and he'll be like, "Oh, typical. It's the da-da-da-da-da," and he'll just fix the shit. Like he's amazing.
He's just a technical person.
Yes.
Gets it.
And he's got oh my God, he builds all his own instruments and all of his own amps and stuff. And so he's always got something new and he's fabulous. And Matt and Charlie all go way back. Like, I guess they all went to school together up here.
Really?
Yeah.
So your entire band knows each other?
At least those three, so Matt, and then Matt, my keyboardist. So me and Matt met at Mellow Mushroom, because after I quit Rockfish, I think I worked there right after, the Mellow Mushroom that was on the square. And so I met Matt there, and at the time we had just we just didn't have we just lost our first drummer. And I had actually, because I heard Matt could play drums, and so I was like, hey, I told one of our friends, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to ask him if he wants to play drums. And she was like, no, you need to ask him to play piano because he's amazing, and da-da-da-da-da. And I had no idea that he had even did that. And he was like, oh yeah, sure, I play, but I think he hadn't been playing for a while, so us doing the band was really him getting back into it, because apparently he's been playing since he was an itty-bitty kid, and I never would have known that. And he's brilliant, because I've been at his house and we'll be watching the TV and a commercial will come on and he'll just play to the commercial. He's one of those people.
That's cool. It's always nice
so cool.
to meet someone like that and just kind of marvel at their abilities.
Yeah, and it's I have no idea how people do that.
Yeah. So
I always think that's brilliant. And then
and doing it for so long, I'm sure it's just second nature. He doesn't even think about it. It's just automatic, and that's really cool to see too.
Yeah, it's dope. It's really nice. Landon's been playing for a long ass time too. He's been playing since he was a little kid. I'm the only one out of everyone who hasn't been doing it for super duper long. But I mean, I was my high school mascot, and I was good. I would be doing cartwheels and the splits and shit in the suit. And so I've always just been very extra, and so I've always just had that energy. Yeah. And I mean, with what we do, that's really, I feel that's most of it anyway, and so it's it's fun. I've always known how to put on a show.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, and you're a great front woman. I've been to plenty of your shows.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I think the most fun show that I've seen you guys play at was probably the I think it was a show at J&J's. I can't remember. I think you played with Hen and the Cocks.
Was it it was Hen and the Cocks. Are you talking about the one where the Wee Beasties played too?
They might have been there
went first, I think, and then I think it was a punk night. I don't know. We've played there a lot. I think we've played there, but I think we've only played there with Hen and the Cocks a couple times. I think.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there. Another fabulous band. They're fucking awesome. I love playing with them.
Which band?
Hen and the Cocks.
Oh, Hen and the Cocks.
Yeah, they're fabulous. I like them.
Yeah, I've seen them play quite a few times. Oh, actually, no. You know what? think the most fun show I saw you guys play at was probably Babe Bash at
that was such a great night. Show, yeah. Oh, it was so much fun. I loved that. And I I had because like whenever I moved up here and stuff, like, you know, I guess because Babe Bash is like an annual thing, I'd always seen flyers for it, and I was like, ooh, I want to play it one day. And then we ended up playing it because another band got dropped from they had to drop from the lineup, and so that space opened up, and
like
so
last minute.
Yeah, and so we ended up getting to do it, and I was like super stoked about it, and I'm like, yes, because anytime we have a show where it's like, I'm like, all right, y'all. I'm like, we need to go up in here and kill this shit. Like, we always just nail it. I mean, we nail it anyway, but those shows are always just like extra good, you know? Because that was a really fun night. I love that.
That was the first time I had been to one.
Okay.
And I think I went to I think I went twice, actually.
Nice.
Well, I can't remember. It's been I've gone to so many shows now. They all kind of blend together. It's
hard, I feel that.
And plus, like you know, at a venue, you sort of like remember the venue, so you remember every show at that venue. It's hard to remember like what show it was. But
I feel that. I definitely feel that. Like before the Rona, I would always go to shows like every single weekend because like all my friends are always playing something, or I'd go and see like a band I hadn't heard of. But it's one of those things. It'll be interesting to see once all this. I don't think the new normal. I don't think it's ever going to end per se. But once things do start to calm down and we get more settled into whatever it's going to be, it'll be interesting to see the impact that all this has on
the
like
music
doing
world.
Shows. You know, because I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, you know, let's say they do open everything back up and we can play shows and stuff again. Like, how many people are really, really, really going to be there? Like, it's probably going to be either very hot or very cold, because I bet a bunch of people will go because they'll be like, oh, we get to go out the house, but then it's also kind of like, you know.
Yeah, and we were talking about it before, but just the fact that it's starting to pick up again, you know, I was sort of hopeful things are going to get better, but you know, this podcast and the next one might be the last ones I do, because it seems like things are going to start closing up again soon. So.
I gotcha.
But yeah, it's unfortunate. But kind of going back to Mother Falcon. So you started the band 2000. Excuse me. You started the band 2017. Have you had any like recordings or anything yet?
Yeah. So we have our very first album we ever did. Okay. So we have an EP that is on SoundCloud. That was, I think, the first 3 recordings we had done.
Oh, okay.
And then we have The Book of Falcon Volume 1, which came out last year, and that's on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Ego Death, which was our single we released at the beginning of this year.
I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That one's my favorite. And that was just a fun, like, we actually did a proper rollout on it, like, on the business side of stuff, and it was really cool to do. It was fun to work on. That was the first one we actually did it in an actual, like, a studio kind of setting. Okay. My buddy Joe, he's also our producer, we did it at the studio. Him and his partner Evan, they run it. It's called Studio Waveflow. It's in Euless. If you want your stuff to sound good, hit them up, because that shit sounded bomb AF, and he knows what he's doing. He's a great producer. The other stuff we recorded, one of our other friends did it, and it was like, he had like a mobile kind of recording setup, and so we did it in like 3 different living rooms.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very DIY.
Like live, just in different rooms?
Well, what we did was, he had like his setup and stuff, and we just had to set it up in people's living rooms and shit. I did my vocals in my room at my house, and so it was just a very kind of whatever space we could get. That's how we went about it. Right,
you can get some good stuff out of that kind of, you know, scenario.
Yeah.
So, I was actually talking to someone the other day about how you can get really good quality recordings out of a home studio that you might not be able to get from a studio because of just the treatment. You know, you can get a kind of a unique sound if it's what you're looking for. So.
Oh, definitely. Well, and you know, I think that at least with the recording of that album, there are definitely pros and cons to doing it like that. It was super duper DIY, and so it's like, you know, it's not like you're using like the best equipment or whatever per se on it. But what I liked about with whenever we did Ego Death, my friend's studio, like it's brilliant because he uses Logic, which is like an Apple DAW, you know.
Yeah.
And literally, it's just amazing the things that you can accomplish like on your own, like doing like a home studio and all that these days. Because like you couldn't be able to do that way back in the day, you know.
No.
But it's brilliant. Like they have so much stuff on that program, and it's just like literally Billie Eilish, like her and her brother, that's what they used to record that album that they put out. And it's like that he literally won a Producer of the Year Grammy making something at home on Logic. Like, and that's just the thing. It's like there's, if you know how to use that shit, like you can
I had no idea that happened. They
literally recorded all of that at their house and stuff, and they use a lot of different sampling and shit. Like it's actually really cool because I know some people don't like her music, whatever, but the stuff that like her and her brother did with that album, it's really nice. Like they did some crazy shit with it.
I like pop music, and I think she's a quality artist. You know, I was actually talking to my mom about her because she was sort of complaining, and I was like, well, I mean, you know, it's pop, it gets overplayed, like you get that, but like from an artistic standpoint, I mean, one, just her age. It was just sort of crazy.
It's
crazy to think that someone that young was making music like that. And, you know, the lyrics were extremely deep, and for her like style to be already defined. You know what I mean? Like she had a very unique style of vocals.
Yeah.
Just kind of found it. I mean, that's really impressive. And, you know, she was young and she had, you know, parents that were in the music business or whatever.
Well, so you know what's crazy too about all that? Because like, it's and I hate how people, because you know some people I've seen, you know, people on the internet where they're just like, well, she blah blah blah, you know, she had all this stuff, but it's like
she still did it.
Yeah, like, and they also, it wasn't actually that nice. Like, so they lived in LA, but they lived in like not the shittiest part of LA, but also not the best part. Like and like they were in a 2-bedroom house, and their parents slept in the living room so their kids could have rooms. And they're both homeschooled, and like but okay, so both her parents were actors, but they weren't famous actors, but they would always take up different gigs so the kids could like do whatever they wanted to, because like she I know Billie, I guess she wanted to horse ride, so her mom literally picked up working shifts at like a horse place, you know, just so she could do that. And it's just like, I feel like what leads to success, like especially whenever it is people that young, it's whenever, at least from what I can tell, it's whenever like you have just that much support from your family, like, and your parents actually support what you do. Because there are people, like, I'm grateful that my parents, they actually like my music. I was surprised because I cuss a lot in my music and they're not really into that kind of thing, you know. But my parents actually really, really like my music. It's not like that for everybody, because there's plenty of people I know where like, oh, their parents wish that they weren't doing music, you know. They're like, you need to get a real job, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, I feel like with her story, it's like that's a good example of like, if you nourish that creativity in your child like early on, just oh my god, just be supportive. If that's what your kid wants to do, like they will excel, because it's just that level. It's just it all goes hand in hand, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You know, my mom has been very supportive of me. And my dad too. I mean, he's a musician and he's like always encouraged me, but you know, I think he had his concerns. You know what I mean? Since my dad is a musician, he kind of knew the direction that I could go into, you know. And I think he was like sort of concerned about it. And I don't necessarily think he particularly likes my music, but I think he's not, you know, he's not like doesn't think it's bad.
He didn't hate it.
It's just different style. My dad's sort of a metal guy, so.
Oh, so he wishes it was heavier.
Yeah, kind of. But
I love that.
But he's into all kinds of music too. He likes all different kinds. He he might not really like me mentioning this, but I don't think he'll ever listen to this.
He probably won't.
But no, my dad, he was actually really into Adele. The new Adele album.
Yes. Because it's so good. She's such a good songwriter. She is one of the best songwriters that we have out there right now. Doubt. It's insane.
She kind of ripped off Amy Winehouse. So that's okay. I'm just joking. we forgive her.
Oh my God. I'm waiting on her next album because she's going through a divorce right now. That shit's about to be good. That's about to be good
really?
as hell.
I didn't know that.
Ooh, yeah. I feel really bad for her because it's actually...
Wasn't she married for 6 years or something?
Something like that. Yeah, they were together for a little bit. Yeah. So it's really sad. Divorce is never fun.
I imagine.
That album's about to be fun. That album about to be good, dude. I'm excited.
I was talking to my friend Mackenzie, and she was telling me that I think it was, I can't remember her name, the singer of Paramore,
Hayley Williams.
She put out a new album this year
She
too?
did, yeah.
Or last year?
It was this year. It was actually right before the quarantine.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, she apparently loves it, and
that's good.
Suggested I should check it out, which I probably will. Just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, I haven't actually listened to. I heard one song from it because she did a. She did in a way to kind of promote the song because she had dropped a single and it was literally right as the lockdown stuff started happening. She did one of those workout with me videos where it's basically she was just exercising to her song and stuff, but she was hopping around,
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's really cool. I've seen. What I will say about all this, the corona and all that, the quarantine, it's been interesting to see how people have been adapting to releasing music under these circumstances, and it's been really, really cool because it's you can't rely on, your show because, usually you put out a song, we're going to have a big
showcase it somewhere.
Yeah, and so it's we're having to do next level things for it, and I think it's really, really interesting. But I love stuff like that. I'm a PR major, or I was a PR major.
Oh, really?
Yeah, public relations. So I
had no idea. So that's what you got your degree in then?
Well, I got 3/4 of my degree in it. Girl didn't finish.
Oh no!
But because you know what I did? It's I moved up here and it was a lot because I went to junior college first, and then I moved up here to go to UNT, and it's just. For me, since I've always had to work full time and stuff, doing school full time, at UNT too, and having to work full time, and just I just wasn't in the best place mentally, I think, to really, really handle that.
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah, that was a bunch. And so, I mean, I was telling my parents, I'm I wouldn't be opposed to going back at some point, because it is always going to be there. But it's just my heart's just so not into that right now. I don't like taking tests. I was good at them, but I didn't actually enjoy any of that shit.
Yeah. It's not particularly enjoyable. But you made it so far.
Oh yeah, but so it's good about how far I made it. I've done 4 different PR internships. Since I've done all my stuff for the band, from the ground up, running it and all that, I have all that stuff too. My portfolio is stacked. Okay, so it's that's also why I'm not too worried about it, because it's I can jump back in and then graduate. I already have all this experience. I have more than enough experience.
That's good.
And so that's the thing. It's I
didn't think about that.
Yeah,
especially in that industry, you can kind of get into it without necessarily having a degree. So.
Oh yeah, because PR, marketing, and advertising all fall under the same umbrella, and it's one of those things. It's if I were to go back and get my degree, I would be yeah, there's different routes that I could do with it. But I wouldn't mind being a publicist for a label or something like that, or just some. I would definitely go into publicist work because that's what I've done with my internships and stuff, and I like doing that. I have a personality for it. Like I'm really good at that.
So no problem talking to people.
Oh yeah, and then it's a lot of like planning and thinking and just all that kind of stuff, and really just like being a very personal person, because you have to know kind of like how to fix things, because really with PR it's a lot of it is image repair, because like think about it, like I bet business is booming right now, all these people getting canceled, like you would be the person to go to them and be like, hey, this is what you need to do to fix this, you have this much time to fix this is what you need to do, let's knock all this out, blah blah blah. And so because I have all that knowledge from school, like I didn't finish it, but I know how to do all that stuff. It's very much benefited me. Yeah, so it's like...
And you have a great social media presence for...
I try. I definitely try.
That's something I just don't have the energy for anymore. So
it's a lot.
I just turned it over to the band members, like, hey, you guys handle it. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah. No, well, and that's the thing, too. It's like, I feel like what... like some artists, the thing is, it's like we, unfortunately, like you do have to have some kind of social media out there for your band, because I mean that's just how it is.
That's how people discover you.
But it's not for everybody, you know, because it's like that, like not everybody is inclined to doing that shit, because you do, especially like if you're really 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 trying to be on top of it, like you really do have to post stuff like basically every day if you're really really trying to be on top of it. And it's just like, look, not everybody has the time for that, not everybody has the fucking, not everybody wants to do that, because that is a lot, because you got to come up with your picture, you got to find a picture, you got to figure out what kind of caption you're going to do, and then like if you're running everything else in the band on top of social media, you also have to, you have to email people, you got to do, you got to worry about all merch, you got to run all that other yeah, so it's not for everybody, it's really not.
And see, the administrative stuff I'm actually good at, like formally contacting people and keeping like a professional like dialogue, but the social media thing, it's kind of weird. You have to be creative enough to get somebody's attention, but also not push the boundary to the point where you're not making your stuff accessible, And so like us being a punk band, we just like continually just push the limits and cross the line a few times. Like just some of the shit I posted, it's just like, I know this is gonna fall flat, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, and like with social media too, especially whenever it comes to promoting, you have to figure out the way to do it to where you have to be creative enough to figure out what should I say to make people want to come to the show,
right?
And there is an art form to it, because you see people where they're just like, oh, we're playing a show on Friday, come out, but they post that the day before, or they post it like literally 2 days before the show. You're not gonna get the kind of turnout you need. You gotta hype that shit up, like, because no one's gonna hype, like especially unless you're signed to a label that is really good with promotion, no one's gonna hype your shit up better than you. And so usually we promote, like if we have a show, like let's say we were to have another show coming up soon, I'd usually would start talking about it. I'd make one post 3 weeks ahead, 2 posts the next week, and then post the whole entire that week of about it. That's how you really really get people to turn out. I noticed that it's like 3 posts kind of does the trick, at least, because like anything more is sort of obnoxious, and anything less they don't remember it. So well, you just have to be smooth with it too, because it's like you can't be, because some people, like, I felt like whenever we were doing the stuff for the Ego Death show, I felt like I was getting kind of annoying about that, but I was also just like, I don't care, I need everybody and their mom to show up, and it did. That was like the biggest show that was the biggest show we ever had.
That's great.
Loves, we packed that shit, like, that was crazy. And so, but it was just that, and it's like, you might feel like you're annoying people, but your real fans will appreciate it. And that's what matters at the end of the day. It's the fans. It's like, if people like your stuff, they want to come see you anyway.
Right, the people who support you, as long as you're cultivating that, things are going to be moving in a positive direction. So,
oh, yeah. It's awesome.
That's great. So, you guys have more recordings that you're working on now?
Yeah, so we're actually, that whole first album I was talking about that we have on Spotify, we're actually we were in the process of re-recording it. I mean, we still are. But, you know, the Rona happened, and so we've had to, you know, stick a pin on it for now, but we've been slowly getting back into it. But we are re-recording the first album, and because first album's called The Book of Falcon Volume 1. The new one's going to be The Book of Falcon New Testament. Oh, okay. And we're adding new songs on it. Just that way we have a cohesive album, because the first one, we had 4 different basses on that album, and like 2 different just one drummer, I think, but yeah, 4 bassists, and so it's not a cohesive sound at all, and so we want to have something solid, you know, and so we're doing that. We also have a recording that we're just waiting to do the video for, because we were literally about to shoot the video the week before the lockdown.
Damn.
For it, but it's called End of Oblivion, and that will be put out through Dang Records in Dallas. They're a really cool collective label thing. And yeah, it's really awesome, because the guy who is running it and he's shooting our video, he directs a lot of the music videos for Fat Records.
Oh, okay.
NoFX's label.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he shot a documentary about Fat Records.
Really?
Yeah, he's cool. He's really cool. Yeah, Sean Cologne.
You know what's funny is I think my buddy Justin was telling me about that documentary a long time ago.
I believe it's on Amazon Prime.
Is it really?
Yeah,
it was like a big deal, and he was talking about how it was like one of the bigger like music documentaries that they made recently.
You should check it out. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, and he's a great guy, and I mean, like, I'm really excited to just finally like get that out there, because it's a great song, and it's like it's literally, I wrote that song back in January, and the stuff I'm talking about in that song is all the crap that's going on now. Literally. Okay. And so it's like, I really want it to get out, because it's just perfect. I know it's gonna hit
for the times.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, and plus it'll be cool to like experiment with how I am gonna market that, because I can't just be like, ooh, we're having a single release show, you know. I'll have to do some stuff, but it's really cool because I have a bunch of content I've been like planning on making and stuff this whole lockdown. Like, your girl has been at work, okay? Like, I'm buying a green screen next week.
Oh, wow.
And like,
that's a big
I would have
step.
my camera and stuff. Oh yeah, that's the thing. I have the Adobe Creative Cloud, and so they have, I think it's one of those Adobe programs. You can do green screen stuff in it with chroma key and all that. And so like, yeah, we're stepping our shit up, and like, I've been designing our merch and stuff, because I bought a sewing machine that has a computerized embroidery setting with it. And so literally I can just like upload my design to it, and it does it for me. And so I'm gonna be making all of our own merch and stuff, and whatever. You
got this planned out.
Oh yeah, well, I've had plenty of time, like 3-4 months to think about all this stuff, you know. And it's really nice. I'll be launching our website soon enough, because you gotta have a website, you know. It's one of those things. It's like, we've been using Facebook this whole time, and we also used to sell our merch online through a different website. But yeah, we're finally gonna just have our own website and all that, and I want to have a blog on that website. I might do that, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but it's like really exciting. We have good shit coming up. It's just, you know.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It sounds like you got a solid plan, and it looks like the future is looking up for you. So
yeah, I'm excited.
And I was gonna ask you, but you kind of answered it already.
Oh yeah.
Do you enjoy, you know, that side of it, the human like PR?
Oh, I love it. The business part, I love it.
Just the business part of music, really.
I genuinely love it.
Really?
And I think it's something. There's an art to it. Like, I watch a lot of, so usually on my free time, like, other than watching like YouTube, like drama channels, like the T channels and all that, beyond that, I watch a lot of videos on like music marketing and like pitching yourself to a record label, what record labels look for, contracts. I've done a lot of research into record contracts, you know, record deals and all that, because as an artist, the number one thing that these labels look for is, I mean, they want an artist that doesn't know any of that stuff. That way that they can screw them over. And it happens to literally the biggest the biggest music artists, because like TLC, I don't know if you're familiar with what happened to them.
They basically they were bankrupt at the end of their career, which was kind of crazy because their music was still so popular, but it was just like all the people behind the scenes of publishing companies making the money.
Well, it was just so bad because like if you break down what went wrong with them, it was literally like, okay, so which one was their biggest one? I think it was No Scrubs was their ultimate biggest hit. That one. So No Scrubs brought in, like, how did they say it? Okay, No Scrubs brought in, it was like $5 million or something like that. And this is like way back in the day, so I'm sure that would be worth a lot more now.
It was like mid-90s or something?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Brought in $5 million. Their label kept like $4 million or something of that, and then they only ended up having $1 million, and then it was 3 people, so they had to split it between 3 people, so they only got like $300,000 each. And the thing is too, and with that, because that was what's his face, what the fuck was his name? He was over LaFace Records at the time, which was just like known for their shady shit. And he also up until 2018, L.A. Reid, that guy, he was infamous in the 90s for screwing over his artists that were signed on his label, and then he took over Epic Records and was screwing people over there, but he ended up getting Me Too'd. Like, some people came out about some shit about him, and he stepped down now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so that was in 2018.
That's 2018, yeah, but it's like, and that's just one record label. Atlantic's another record label where they're known for how bad their contracts are too. And like, there's this artist, Nappy Roots. They were like a group from like 2000s, I think.
Never heard of them. So.
Yeah, they're really good. Well, they took this is after they had signed their label, they had realized they're like, well, we're not really making any money, you know? And they took it to a entertainment lawyer, and he looked at it and he told them that was the worst record deal he'd ever seen in his career. And that's the thing, you gotta watch these people. And so it's like, for me, that's why it's like I take all the time to learn all this shit now, and it's like I make sure I have all my business stuff, you know, as good as I can get it. That way, whenever we do get signed, I already know how to negotiate stuff. I know not to sign a 360 deal. Don't ever sign a 360 deal in your life, because that basically turns your label into the mafia, and they want a piece out of everything you make. And a traditional record deal is not like that.
Can you explain what a 360 deal is?
Yes.
I have no idea, and I'm sure people listening.
You should know that, and the people listening should also know that if you are a musician. So it's basically, a traditional record deal would be like, oh, you know, we take a cut from your sales, we take a cut from your tour, you know, we take whatever. Like, it's not everything. A 360 deal means that they take a little bit, like, okay, so unfortunately, with 360 deals, they give you a bunch of money up front. So you get these artists where they're like...
That's what I thought it was.
You get a bunch of money up front. And like, so with a traditional record deal, you get money up front as well, but they're like, okay, take this money, make a record with it, and then, you know, they kind of go from there. With 360 deal, they give you a bunch of money because it makes it kind of look better. It makes it look more appealing. But then they're like, and hey, we'll give you all this money up front, and we'll take... you know, a little bit from every single thing you do. And so unfortunately, that means your merch, they're getting some of your merch. That shouldn't be happening. They take some of, like, your appearances. Like, let's say you go on fucking Ellen DeGeneres or some shit. You do, like, any kind of appearance, they're taking money from that, too. And they usually don't do, like, you know, you can negotiate to where that doesn't happen. And because, like, typically with a traditional record deal, it doesn't happen like that. They don't take all your money. Like, their hand is literally constantly in your pocket. And so what ends up happening is you have some people where they end up
basically being in debt to the company.
Yeah, and unfortunately...
Because they take the cut until it's all paid for, right? Until the money they put up front. So it's just like a music loan.
Yeah, well, and it depends on how many how many albums you're signed on to that contract for as well.
Oh, so it can be even worse.
It could be, it could last for... And unfortunately, you know, you have people... where they do sign like 6 album record deals. So like you're signed on with this label to make 6 albums with it. You know how long that is?
Yeah, that's almost a death sentence for a musician.
Yeah,
you know,
if you get off,
because if the label doesn't like it, then you're kind of subjected to them, and you're stuck. You can't release music through anything else.
Yeah, so. Or unfortunately, they can drop you as well, and it's worse if they drop you, because then whatever money they gave you, they need that. They gonna need that right back, since they didn't get that return of investment. And so it's like, if you get that money and you're not responsible with it, and you don't actually, you could be in big trouble, unfortunately. But that's why it's really important to just educate yourself about all that stuff, because there's ways to negotiate that kind of thing, and that's also why you absolutely positively have to have a lawyer look over that. And it's like, sure, no one wants to spend X amount of money to have a lawyer look over that paper, but it's like, that could be the difference between you making, like TLC's case, your song bringing in $5 million and you only ending up with $300,000.
Yeah. That's rough.
It's fucked up. Yeah.
And what's worse too is that there's not a whole lot of opportunities available for musicians to make money in general anymore, just because traditionally for years, up until the end of the digital CD era, musicians got their money purely from record sales. And so whenever people stopped buying records because you could download it online and then just burn CDs for your friends, that just sort of contributed to the cyclical process of phasing out the purchasing of records. And now we have streaming, and everybody knows that you don't get anything off of streaming, basically. You don't. So it's a tough gig being a musician right now, so this is some very important stuff to pay attention to. The unfortunate thing too, though, is that nobody knows the direction that it's going to be heading in the next 5-10 years.
Definitely.
We don't know if artists are going to be compensated more per stream, or if it's going to become even less, because you think about the model and just the accessibility. I would imagine that we would probably make less money over time through streams. The main way that bands are making money right now, and which seems to be the more reliable way, is selling merch and selling concert tickets. Because those are more tangibly quantifiable. You can, like merch sales, hats, t-shirts, that sort of thing. Physical products are sort of just like, economically speaking, are subjected to the economy that values them. Whereas songs are sort of in a different realm, at least a little bit, because it's not tangible. It's not as tangible as like a shirt. Same thing as a concert ticket. It's like a concert ticket. You're paying for an experience that is it's a service. It would be like if you go to a restaurant and get served by someone. It's the same sort of deal. There's that exchange, but a recording, it's just not being valued as much because there's so much of it, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. Especially with this whole situation with the virus and everything, because even major artists, because it's like they don't, because Spotify, I think it's like 0.005 cents a stream is what you get. It's literally, it's like 0.00 something. It's a fraction of a penny.
It's ridiculous. And so you have people like, Mariah Carey. I remember, I think it was this last Christmas, I think. Every Christmas time, her, I want for, like, it's always the like number one. It always hits number one around that time, like with Spotify and all that. And so she was the most streamed artist, like, I think that year or whatever, because of that. And I think it was a crazy amount. It was like millions of streams, and she only got like X amount of hundreds of thousands, but it was like, but it was for like millions of streams, and it's that thing. And so you have most major artists, they really rely on like touring and all that, but it's like, since you can't tour right now, you know, and it's like, you know, people. Yeah, I guess I don't even think they know, you know, what's gonna happen next, because it's even then, it's like, I know me personally, like, you know, I know a lot of bands have been like, oh, donate to us, blah blah blah. I feel really weird about that, because I'm like, I know we're in a recession and it's gonna last a while, so I feel kind of weird asking for money when I'm like, we don't need it more than you do, you know, like, right, you know what I mean, like, we got, you know, people can take care of their necessities, and that's also the thing too. It's like, that'll be interesting to see how just the economic landscape as far as the music industry does turn, because like, I don't know if people are really going to want to just drop money, you know, and stuff like they used to.
As this lasts longer and longer, it's going to be harder and harder on the entertainment industry. And I mean, I think that we're kind of already seeing it crumble a little bit. So,
woof woof.
So yeah, you must have heard something. Hey, Tyson, stop.
Oh, Tyson.
He's barking during the podcast. Tyson, stop. If you're listening to this, I apologize for my dog.
He's sweet.
He hears somebody outside. That's what it is. Tyson, come here.
He's like, okay, I'm done now.
All right. See?
It's that boy.
It was probably just somebody walking by. He's fine.
Bonk. Oh, he's sweet.
No, but we were talking, you know, the economics of music, if you think about it from the standpoint of supply versus demand, the demand for music is not going anywhere. That's sort of always been, if anything, the demand for music has sort of gone up, I would say, because of how much it's accessible. But the flip side of that is that the supply has caught up to what the demand is.
Oh, so okay, I get what you're getting at.
The accessibility of it is like exactly even to what the demand is, so its value, I feel like, is going to be slowly diminished as more music is released. So the more songs that are released, the less they will be worth over time, because of how accessible they are. So, you know, these streaming companies, they make money on advertisements if you don't pay for the service or whatever, but it's not really the music that they're making money off of.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're making money off of the notoriety of their name to get the advertisers on. So
definitely,
it's a very weird very weird business right now. You know, I've thought about this sort of thing a lot, but my like perspective of it is completely like opposite of yours. You want to figure it out. I want to leave it alone. I just don't want any part of it. I mean, it's so, I think you really kind of have to ask yourself, you know, what level you're willing to be as a musician. And I made a decision about 2 years ago, like, you know what? I'm happy.
That's good.
I don't really feel the need to search out a major record label deal or like, you know, become whatever famous means now. Like, you know what I mean? Because as a musician,
you just go viral.
It doesn't really mean much, you know? It's like famous for what, like a week? Like, how long is that gonna last? But yeah, so it's kind of a tricky business, and I think that you're doing the more proactive thing and trying to understand it, which is very admirable, because I feel like it's going to be people like you that sort of figure out how to navigate it and how to make it still functional, which is important, because it'll at least give the people in those positions or getting to those positions of notoriety a chance to survive off of it.
Oh, definitely. So. Well, yeah, and and that's the thing too. It's like, it's definitely what I like about just, doing music and all that is it's like, you can take yourself with as far with it as you want. And so it's like, and then at the end of the day, what does matter is like how happy you are, and if it's like, because like with me, I just really want a Malibu beach house. I don't care. I don't care how I get it. I want that shit because, like, I'm from Houston. Like, my parents, like, we're from, like, a very just super, like, lower middle class kind of, story going on, and it's just, like, I've never really had anything really, really nice that was mine. And, like, I want to be able to not have to worry about shit. And I want to be able to actually make money, or at least just run some kind of business with my money, But I want to do something that, like, I can wake up I can wake up and actually enjoy doing. Because it's like, like, that would make me happy. Yeah, because it's like, I wouldn't be, for me personally, it's just like, I will figure stuff out. It's like, it takes a lot for me to, like, for something to actually get in my way and actually stop me from doing something. Because, no, I figure that shit out. Like, I'm very much a go-getter. It's like, if, like, whatever it takes, I'll figure it out. And it's like, and so, but that's also that thing. Like, I just have that kind of drive because that's just how bad I want it. And the thing is, too, what's pretty good about the way things are now, like, although it does suck that it's like you don't really make money from doing music, but it's like, what I've also kind of learned is you just really don't, because music is just one of those things. It's like, some people, like, if you get to a certain point, like, if you really get really lucky and you end up just really, you have a song that really hits it, okay, but then even then, it's important to, once you do get that money, you have to invest it in other stuff, because if you don't, that shit's gonna be gone. And it's like, I can't think of who this was.
Music is a fickle business.
Oh, yeah, because you'll be in and out. Yeah, and that's the thing. And so it's like, for me, it's like, even if we have just one song that ends up hitting, I'm gonna take that money, I'm gonna actually invest it in ways to where you can make more money. Like, you see people, okay, like, everybody, like, most famous rappers have, like, they either have a vodka line or they have something,
clothing
like, they have clothing lines and all that stuff. That's what that is, because it's like, you're gonna have to figure out a way to still make money once those checks kind of stop coming in.
Right.
Once those checks start slowing down,
you're not going to be young forever, so you're not going to be able to still appeal to the same demographic that's coming up next.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, and it's hard, and that's why it's also just like, if people are really, really trying to go for it, you absolutely, just kind of like with school, if you're really, really trying to finish school, like, you have to have your heart in that, because it's hard. You're gonna get a bunch of no's. Like, I'm fully prepared for that. We're gonna have plenty of people where they hear our shit and they're like, fuck no, or whatever, and it's for whatever reason. You don't know why people won't like you, but there's always gonna be people where they're just gonna be like, oh, I don't know about this. Like, I remember whenever we first started playing shows, it was our second show ever, and it was at the Abbey Underground. It was for an open mic, and I told one of my friends about it, and I was like, hey, I was like, you should come see us. And then, like, I was trying to get us to open for, like, his band. It was, just this all local shit. And I remember after our first show, he was like, oh, probably wait a minute on that, blah blah blah. And the thing is, too, it's like, look, I mean, obviously, my vocals weren't all the way there. I'd only been singing for 2 months, whatever. But the shit was hype. That was the hypest open mic I've ever fucking seen at the Abbey. There wasn't that many damn people, but we turned that shit out because I was getting all off the stage and all that. And, but that's just the thing. It's like, you have to, like, every obstacle you get, you literally, if it's something that you want, you will keep pushing with that. And it's like, that's why, I mean, it's like, people, if they listen to my music, music, they probably wouldn't know, but anyone who knows me knows that Lady Gaga is like one of my biggest influences. It's literally Lady Gaga and Mick Jagger, which is really funny because if you hear my music, you wouldn't fucking think that. But Lady Gaga, just her story.
I definitely see your personality in both of those people.
I love Mick Jagger so much too. Yeah, because like with Lady Gaga, just her whole story just inspires the fuck out of me, because she literally, so she was just a super weird theater kid. No one fucking liked her. Like, she always thought she was gonna be famous, and people would always just like talk shit about her. They'd be like, you're never gonna be famous, blah blah blah. And then so she was going to NYU, and then she had played this kind of like showcase thingy there, and she ended up getting signed to Def Jam, Island Def Jam.
Oh,
and
shit.
she got dropped like before she could even put out a first album.
Wow.
She made a demo, and she played it for that guy who I was talking about earlier, L.A. Reid. He was over Def Jam at the time.
Okay.
And at the time, whenever he heard, he was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be, or whatever, he saw her performance, he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna change the world with your music, whatever. He hears the demo a couple months later, and he absolutely hated it. He was like, it's the worst thing I've ever heard. And so they dropped her, and she had dropped out of school to just continue pursuing music. And her parents were like, well, look, they're like, we're gonna give you one more year, and then after that we're gonna cut you off. And so for her, that was like the ultimate kick in the ass, because she was like, I have to make this shit happen. And so like she played every single kind of show she could. Like, she was like a go-go dancer and stuff for a while.
Oh, really?
Every kind of show she could find. Yeah, dude, anything she could find, because she was gonna make that shit happen. And then she ended up getting signed to Interscope Records, and
that's a good label.
Oh yeah, dude. And then put out The Fame, her first album, not too long after, and then the rest is history. And it's just that thing. It's like you're gonna have, and especially for her, she's from New York, so she was having to do all that shit in New York. So I couldn't even imagine having to come up in that. That's like the biggest city, you know, that's like the biggest music scene in America, you know, obviously next to LA, but New York has way more people. And so it's just like, and that's the thing, like, you're gonna get shit like that. Like, you're gonna get all sorts of curveballs, and, you know, and people that don't want you to succeed or whatever, for whatever reason. And it's like, what matters is, like, if it's something that you want to do, you can absolutely make that shit happen. Like, it's hard, it's not gonna be easy, but it's definitely, it's not impossible, you know. So that's at least how I like to view it.
That's good. I mean, it's a very great positive mindset to have, you know, and a lot of people don't have it. I'm one of them.
Oh no.
But you know, I go through my moments where, you know, I think everybody does, where you get motivated, and obviously I haven't lost motivation for music. You know, I'm still in a band, I'm joined another band and doing a music podcast, so it's like it's a sort of my life there, you know. I mean, it's always there. But you know, it's a hard road, and I think that whatever you decide, you have to really ask yourself if it's right for you, because it's not right for everybody.
It's really not.
Some people can handle it and some people can't, and you see those people that can't just unravel in front of you. Amy Winehouse being one of them. Oh, you know?
Oh my God, and that's so sad.
She's one of those that just couldn't handle it, and understandably so. You know, I mean, you get to a certain level, and everything about you is criticized.
Oh yeah.
So, and you know, you were talking about earlier, like the fact that you don't care whether or not somebody likes your music or not. And admittedly, me, along with several other kinds of musicians, you know, just sort of very sensitive to that whenever I was starting out. So the fact that you started out and already had that mindset, you know, just kind of set you forward towards your goals already with that mindset. So your goals and your perspective on it aligned very well, which is very nice. You know, you kind of just sit right in that pocket of progress. And I think that for me, some of that kind of comes from the fact that, like, I did start doing music later, because like I literally, the only other time I've ever done something musically before now
I literally played guitar for like 2 years in middle school, and then I gave up, and then I was in choir in the 8th grade and the 9th grade, and it was fucking terrible. But I was only in there because like my friends were in there, but I was this complete emo kid. I loved My Chemical Romance. I still love My Chemical Romance. I had the hair, you know, like I always liked rock music, and so I wanted to do something like that, and it was just and plus like I talked all the time in the class, and so the choir lady didn't fucking like me, and so it was never my thing, and so I was just like, I dropped it. But I had always liked music and all that, but I think that because I did get into it in my later years per se, because like I'm 26 now, and so it's
we're the same age too.
Holy shit, what?
So we moved
When's
to Denton.
Your birthday?
March 8th.
May 19th.
Okay.
Damn.
That's so funny. Yeah.
That's funny.
So we moved to Denton the same year, and we're the same age.
That's wild.
And we work together. We have a lot more in common than I thought we did, Diya.
That is wild. That's some shit. That's Denton for you. I swear it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like just because I did get into it later, I've always been a confident individual, and so it's just like being able to have that self-confidence, because I feel like self-confidence is one of those things. It does play a huge part in at least performing music and just really doing the damn thing, because it's like if you're not that confident in what you produce, what you put out there, then people can tell, and it's like it's not like they'll pick it out, you know, and it's not something that they might not notice right away. But confidence is a huge thing, because it's like because that's the thing, it's like, look, like because I've had some shows where I do not sound my best, you know. I've had my moments because I'm still learning everything and all that, where I haven't sounded my best, but I was still owning it, like,
yeah.
And like
you got to in the moment, right?
And it's the thing. It's like if people see that you are enjoying yourself, or they hear that you're having a good time, they want to have a good time, because that's why they're there. They're there to have a good time, you know. And that's always been how I like have tackled doing music, because I'm just like, we out here, like, oh well, you're at my show anyway. Right. You about to listen to me yell? Because like we've had shows where, you know, I always make sure that I book a shows where it's not a bunch of old people, because our music isn't really, usually that's not really our target demographic. But we've had plenty of shows where they're like grown old folk, where I did not think that they would like our stuff, and they've come up to me before and they're like, you know, although I wasn't, you know, completely agreeing with everything you were saying, you were so much fun to watch, and da 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 da. And it's like, it's that thing. It's like if you're having a good time, people get into it. They definitely do.
And what I think it really is too is that with technology, unfortunately, we have a lot of people that are just sort of zombies, you know. They go out and they go through the motions of whatever they feel like is expected of them at social gatherings, and then they go home, and they just don't really engage with other people or the event itself. And
they're just there.
Yeah, and it's sort of sad. I'm really sensitive to that, because I notice it, you know, and it's really tough to bring people out of their shells a little bit, and that's something that you bring to the music community that I think is valued by all the other musicians. Is, you know, not every one of us can be the person that goes out into the crowd. Not every one of us can be the one that's, you know, very, very poetic in the way they talk to people, to a crowd in between songs and just whatever, you know. And you engage with the crowd very well.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's just an honest statement from me to you, that I know other local musicians that potentially will listen to this will definitely say the same thing about you. So to kind of close out here, I guess, do you have any release date stuff for the album that you're thinking about recording yet? Have you set a timeline?
So we still have a lot to do. Initially, the album was slated to come out this year, but thanks to Miss Rona, that's probably going to be sometime next year, realistically. However, that single we have with Dang Records, I'm going to talk to the people with that. Hopefully we can get that out before the year's over, because it's like, it's just frustrating because we were trying to shoot a video for it, you know, and it's like, that's just not, oh God. And so, but, you know, hey, if things chill out, how about this? If anyone wants new Falcon music, wear a fucking mask so we can record our fucking video. We can put some shit out. But so that... we should hopefully have another song out by the end of the year, but if anyone wants to find us, check us out on Instagram at mfalcondenton. And then we're Mother Falcon on Spotify, and so it's Mutha with the hyphen, and then Falcon, kind of like we had wristbands that said Falcon, Mother Falcon, do you speak it? Like, you know, kind of act like you're Samuel L. Jackson and just type that shit in. And we're on Facebook also, Mother Falcon, that's Mutha hyphen Falcon. We're also on Twitter at mfalcon_DTX. I think it's something like that, or there's an underscore in there somewhere. And then follow us on Spotify. We're also on SoundCloud too. And just that's, if you are looking for new music from us, that's where you'll hear it first, or that's where you'll find out about it first. And beyond that, I've been writing a concept album about all of this. All right. And so I'm about 5 songs in. It's going to be like a concept EP. So it's, I still have a little bit more to do with it because it's about to be 8 songs. Kind of on the fence on whether to use that as a solo thing or to use it with the Falcons. But I mean, really, what's the difference at this point? Because I write all the Falcon songs. I just don't like with the music portion. Like, I've been writing some more of the music parts because I usually just get with Landon and we come up with the music parts. Right. But I might as well. Anyway, but so be on the lookout for all of that stuff if you are interested in hearing more. Cool. Well, I will say, so nice to have an extrovert on. I don't have to ask and pry questions out of you. So this was fun. I'll see you at work. Yes, thank you for having me. This was dope. And if you want to be on the show in the future, I'm probably not going to do an episode for a while, but you can still send me an email if you want to be on it sometime in the future. You can email Hickory Street Podcast. It's hickorystpodcast@gmail.com, and we can communicate back and forth. Thanks for coming on. Thank you for having me. Hell yeah. All right. Bye.